Hello and welcome to the CAPE podcast. CAPE standing for the Child Abuse Prevention and Education Podcast. My name is Kristi and I am an ex-West Australian police officer who spent 10 years with the police where I was trained as a specialist child interviewer and a child abuse detective. This podcast is all about sharing what I learnt, saw and knew whilst investigating child sexual abuse in the police force. It is also about sharing the knowledge that I gained in that time that helped me with my own parenting of my then 2-year-old daughter. My mission is to help share my knowledge and to help you in your role as parents to keep your kids safe, along with guest experts in the field of child abuse prevention and education, both in person and online. Thank you so much for joining in on the fight to prevent child sexual abuse. Your kids will thank you for it. Hello and welcome back to the CAPE podcast, a podcast about child abuse prevention and education. And I'm here today with Sandrine Lexi. So Sandrine and I connected through Instagram. I'm pretty sure it was Instagram. And this is what I love about social media. This is the best part about social media, is that you connect with like-minded people. And you find people that have the same mission and purpose as you. And that's what has happened with me and Sandrine. And Sandrine runs a Instagram page called Team Together Online and has created an amazing game called All the Likes, targeted towards 6 to 10-year-olds. And it's a card game for parents, teachers, educators around teaching online safety. And I'm going to get Sandrine to explain a bit more about that game. But first of all, thank you so much for coming to talk to me, Sandrine.
Well, thank you, Kristi, for having me. It's exciting to meet via video link in addition to Instagram.
Yeah, I know. It's so great. And so before this, I had seen Sandrine's page and I'd seen the game, but Sandrine actually sent me a video of how to play the game. And I was really impressed by it. Really, really impressed. It's a great game. And I can see how much benefit it would be to young children learning about online safety from that age group of 6, 7, 8-year-old, 9-year, 10. So well done.
Thank you. What did you like the most about the game?
I think the fact that you are learning about those, and did you say there were 17 safety rules?
13
safety rules. The 13 safety rules in a safe way whilst not being online. So, and also incorporating fun and play, because children learn better through that. They learn.
That's right.
Lessons. Yeah. So I was really impressed with it, but I thought maybe to get going, you could explain a little bit about who you are and how you came about creating this game.
Yeah. So I'm a mom to 3 kids, aged 6 to nearly 10.
Yeah.
And how did I get about to create the game? That actually the idea came to me 3-4 years ago already. And the game was released late last year, so late 2022. But it took me a year or two with COVID and everything to just bring everything together. But to go back to the idea, it was about 3-4 years ago. So my kids would have been 6 to 3 or 3 to 6 rather. And sadly, I heard accounts of teenagers losing their lives due to very dangerous challenges, videos that are online. And I was really shocked. I had no idea, absolutely no idea. And, I read the paper. I think I'm not naive. And I thought it was devastating to hear about it. And second, I thought that as a parent, I was on top of, all the potential dangers and issues we have to educate our kids about and ourselves first. And I was shocked to realize I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I heard about this, and so I researched articles online, and then it sort of opened this whole Pandora box of all the online dangers which exist.
Yeah.
And I think quite fortunately today, I feel, maybe because I'm more aware, I feel like people are generally more aware, but I don't know if it's actually the case. But anyway, I became aware of all these issues, and I thought, my God, this is tragic. This is awful. This is serious. It doesn't look that this is going to go away.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't aware of all this, there might be a lot of other people who are not aware of all this. Like we need to do something, and we need to protect our kids. And I thought, okay, this is scary, but we have to do something about it because we have to protect our kids. And I thought, how do you go about it? How do you deal with it in a positive way? And how am I going to empower my kids without freaking them out? Because I think if you start to be scared and petrified, you're paralyzed, and you're not going to take any action. I thought, okay, we have to deal with it in a positive way. So hence the game. And also I wanted to not only equip my own kids, but I wanted to raise awareness in general. And I thought, some people might find it scary, irrelevant, boring. This is not going to happen to my kids. So same, I thought, how do I empower my kids in a positive way, and how do I raise awareness in a positive way? And the idea was normalize the conversation. How do you normalize the conversation? You make it part of everyday life. And what's everyday life with kids? It's playing. So I thought of the game, and also playing is one of the best way for kids to learn and retain information. So that's how the idea of a game came about. And I thought, what's an easy game to create, card game, and things just developed from there.
Yeah, and so much beautiful. The fact that you were willing to, I mean, first of all, once you start down that rabbit hole of information, it is very scary. And I understand why parents can kind of like back off from it and not want to
be.
It's scary, and it can be confronting and very hard to understand exactly what to talk about and where to go next and what to do next.
Exactly. I mean, it's when you start thinking about it from an adult's perspective, it's very frightening.
Yeah.
And it can be paralyzing. And then you may think, oh, but this is all behind the screen, it's unlikely to happen. But when you look at the stats, you think, no, we have to do something. And it might be the case also that some parents are just not aware yet because their kids are still little and things, haven't happened yet, and they're not online on their own just yet, but they will happen. So I thought, yes, I was unaware. It's because I heard about these accounts, which were really terrible. So I thought, let's do something about it. Yeah, exactly.
And I love that. I love that you went, I see a problem here and I'm going to do something about it. That's so refreshing.
And I really believe in safety and education, and for many matters in life, as long as it's age appropriate, you can start teaching and explaining the kids from a very early age. And I think it's more likely to stay with them if you start early and talk about these matters regularly. And I thought, because that there's parental control apps, etc., which is very good. But I thought, at some stage, I hear of kids being clever and teens being clever, bypassing the apps, and also they may just find themselves with devices at friends' place or members of your family a place where there won't be any parental control. So at some stage in their life, the parental control will disappear. So they need to have this safety mechanism just inbuilt into them. That's the best way, because wherever they will go with their own self.
Yes.
And if they have the safety rules in their mind, I mean, hopefully that's the best we can do. Yeah.
Oh, 1000%. I totally agree with you in all of that. We can put in protections in place. We put the fence around the pool, and we can teach them but we have to teach them to swim ultimately.
And that's exactly it. And I was thinking, we teach them to swim. We teach them to cross the road. We teach them safety in the house. Don't put a knife in a toaster. Be careful with the kettle. So, I mean, the online world, it's a part of our life now. So why don't we educate them?
Yes. And I think it's just, the younger we do this, it is known that the younger we start having these conversations, the less risk the less harm there is to children. It's about harm reduction. What we as parents, we can't protect them from everything, but we can reduce harm to children.
Exactly. I mean, we teach them to strap their seatbelts, and so it was the same thing. And also I realized reading these articles about online safety and online dangers that criminals are organized. And I think you raised that in one of your podcast episodes recently. And I thought, like, we need to be organized as well. And hence the name of the company that I created, for which I created the card games, is Team Together Online. But we need to team together, the kids together, the adults with the kids. And if you normalize it and everybody teams together, we should get somewhere good and positive.
Yeah.
And
when I saw your video and how the game works, what I really liked was, whilst you're playing this game with your children, it is bringing up an opportunity to have conversations. And
exactly.
Yeah. And a lot of parents struggle with, oh, well, what do I talk about? But you're literally giving them like an opportunity to talk about it, whether it's a teacher, an educator, a parent, or a carer or a caregiver. You're giving them an opportunity with these cards to talk about like all of this. Yeah.
And it's good because you can actually just draw a card from the game as a conversation starter. If you think, oh, I'm going to start a chat, just sitting down, with my kids, or you can just play the game and ask your kids at the end of the round, what do you think that meant? And you don't have to, because the way the game is organized, it's very similar to a game of Snap with silly action cards, which the action cards have nothing to do with online safety. It's just an extra layer of fun on top of it. But you can start a conversation at the end of the game if you wish to, or you don't. What I really liked, and I must say, I didn't think about it when I created the game, but I remember testing it, playing it with my kids. And one of my daughters, and she was only 5.5 then, she paused and she said, "Mommy, what does this mean?" And that's great, because the kids can start the conversation. And if they start the conversation, they're also more likely to remember the answers because they are genuinely interested.
Yes.
So I didn't see this coming, and I thought that was great. Like, it starts the conversation both ways.
Yeah.
And I think what's great with the game is that the kids are way more likely to remember the rules first, because they can initiate the conversation.
Yes.
Second, each safety rule has a pretty catchy design, and visual recollection is a great way for the human brain to recall a memory. Yes. So they can, if the kids are visual, they might not remember the rule word for word, but they can remember the spirit of it through remembering the catchy design. And also, it's quite well known that learning by repetition is a very good way. It's great for memory. It's a very effective way to learn. And because it's a game of Snap and you play the cards over and over again, they're more likely to, the principles are more likely to stick to their minds as well.
Yeah. So, and it's, especially if you're starting out. I mean, children today are getting online younger. So if you're having these conversations before your child starts, using online gaming or social media, or even if they're already online gaming and on social media, but you use this game as a way to have those conversations in a fun and interesting way, led by the child, your half your job's done.
Yes. Half the job,
half the job, is to keep on top of it and supervise and all of that stuff. But
exactly. No, that's right. If you can start before they are online, I think it's great. And what we're trying to do in our house. Yeah. And other people I know who bought the game and come back with a very, very happy feedback, saying the kids are fascinated by the game, probably because also it relates to the online world that they are looking forward to. Yes. And in which they're not really yet or not free. And so it creates this interest for the kids prior to going online. So hopefully by the time they get online, they've got these inbuilt safety rules inbuilt in them.
I just people who create stuff like you, I mean, I wrote a whole book and I'm creative in different ways, but someone like you who has gone, I see a problem, I'm going to create a game, and you've created this beautiful game with beautiful, like you said, the graphics are amazing, the like illustrations and the art, you know, obviously it's eye-catching, and I could tell through what you showed me that it was really eye-catching, and I'm now going to go and buy a copy because I have to have one, just so just so I can show parents and other people about it. But I don't think we underestimate how easy it can be for us to teach our kids about this stuff. We make it complicated because we think that it's going to scare them, but our kids are not scared of fact. They're not scared of facts, and they're not scared.
No, they're not. And actually, I think there's an age around 6 where they are very interested in becoming autonomous and responsible.
Yes.
And they understand that to become autonomous, you have to be responsible and follow safety rules in general.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a nice age to start as well, because they actually take safety seriously because they understand that it's the gateway to freedom for them.
Yeah.
And I think the game works very well in this respect as well.
And you've had feedback from parents, teachers, and educators?
Educators, yeah. Yes.
And how are they using it in a classroom setting? Have you heard how they're using it?
Yes, in computer science teacher telling me that she's going to use it to comply with the recommendation published by the e-safety commissioners in terms of teaching online safety, because it helps them comply with some of the items identified. And educators, you know, just as one of the games they play in their environment, or
in the classroom, or wherever.
You know, in the classroom or wherever, you know, wherever they are. And parents, yes, same, being quite nicely surprised by the fact that, you know, most parents say, oh, I've never really either. Well, let me go back a step. Either the parents would say, "Oh, this is an amazing game. I've never seen anything like that," and I say, "Yeah, I created it because I haven't seen anything like this before either." There's a need for it, and all parents telling me, "Yeah, I've been thinking about online safety, been thinking about the chat. I don't know how to start it, so this is perfect." So it was really nice to have this feedback, because I was very excited and very happy when I created the game, and I thought, this is good. I love my game, but this is my own game. I'm very subjective.
Yeah, we get a bit biased.
Exactly. But to have such feedback this year, as to realize that it's actually objectively good, and people objectively think it's great. Like I'm very happy. I really hope I make a difference with it.
I'm sure you will. When you were researching for the game, what kind of stuff came up for you that you were like really shocked by? Or like, I know that statistically only 50% of parents talk to their children about online safety, and you know, 1 in 2 children, or it's between 1 and 2 and 1 in 3 children will be approached online by a stranger. And, you know, all of the other statistics that we're seeing coming out of, you know, especially younger teen boys being sextorted, and, you know, all of the stuff that I'm talking about on my Instagram and on my pages. But what kind of things did you like uncover when you were doing your research that made you think, wow, like we need to start younger, we need to talk about this?
I think what you mentioned, the fact that kids were so easily and so frequently contacted by strangers, it was quite shocking.
Yeah.
I think that was the main one. And more recently, the fact that the way younger boys and young boys in general are targeted for sextortion, that was also quite a shock.
Yeah, I think what we, as parents, you know, we get bombarded with information. And I mean, my daughter's 15, and even sometimes I struggle to keep up to date with everything. It's even my job to do it. So, you know, I can understand how parents can be bombarded with information, and it kind of loses its messaging. Would you agree?
I agree. There is so much out there. There's so much information, and at the same time, so many games, so many apps to stay on top of. Again, you do your best, but at the same time, you really have to convey those safety skills to the kids. And at some stage, my kids are still little, so I won't leave them alone online. But I know that at some stage I have to make the decision, what age is an appropriate age to let them be online. I think it's
yeah.
I know, it's like, at what stage do you let them walk around the neighborhood and cross the road on their own? So yes, that's a similar question.
I guess also by having these conversations and having these cue cards like in the deck that you've created, it helps you as a parent maybe have those thoughts and go, well, where am I at with this? Do I understand it? Do I then also need to have a conversation or think about this as well so that I can be prepared for it?
Yes, and it's a good reminder, the various safety principles. So I can go through some of them. For example,
please.
Block strangers online. Switch your safety, privacy settings on. Be kind with your words. There is one with the image of a computer disintegrating, where the real statement is bye bullies. Talk to a trusted adult, etc., etc. And I think as you observe your kids playing and have a look at the cards or play with them, some will act as a reminder for a conversation, thinking, oh, we haven't talked about this in a long time, or we haven't developed this topic. I think the cards great to implement, the motto, chat early and chat often, because chatting once is not enough. You need the repetition for kids to remember and learn. So I think as you see the cards, playing them, it's a great reminder. And second, what's good because the cards are so simple, the design is simple, and the rules are simple, you can tailor your explanation according to the kid's age. So when you play with your 6-year-old and they interrupt you to ask you, oh, what this is about, mommy or daddy or grandma, whomever, you are going to tailor your explanation to the level of a 6-year-old and to the level of what they do online. And it's all very in the future, as we explained. But if you talk to a 10-year-old, then your explanation will be different. And it's also, if they're already online, even with parental controls or with an adult in the same room, it's still also an opportunity to ask, has this happened to you? Or what would you do if that happened to you? So you can dig a little bit further.
Yeah. I mean, I have a 15-year-old and I often have comments made to me about how mature and how worldly my daughter is and how she understands how things are and work. And that's because I've been having open and honest conversations with my daughter for a long time, since she was 3, 4, 5, 6, age appropriate, open conversations. And I think one of the keys, like takeaways for me, hearing other people talk about, oh, your daughter's so, she's got such a good head on her shoulders, she's so mature, is that it's not because all of a sudden she's obviously got, some parts of her is she's wise and worldly and everything like that. She's a great, very emotionally intelligent, but there's other parts of it that have come from how I've talked to her. And I've had conversations, like you said, how do you think kids could deal, if someone was sent a nude to a kid, how do you think that they could deal with it? That's how I've talked to her when she got to an age when that was age appropriate. But before that, I would ask a question like, hey, have any of your friends ever been asked for nude photos, or not nude photos, or maybe inappropriate photos or whatever? And that was, she was about 10 then. So, conversations mature with your child, right? So
Exactly.
And the good thing is if you've already put the groundwork in place about these 13 safety rules or safety, those 13 ideas in that deck, then you can mature. And as they age and their maturity level goes up and their understanding goes up, you can mature your conversations. They get more involved.
Yes, you can build on it, and you can build on the fact that it's normal to have this conversation about what's happening online. So yes, you just build upon it. If you start the chat early and normalizes the chat, then you can build upon those foundations to chat about virtually anything that can happen online and talk about other things that happen from 10, 12, 14 years old, whatever happens as they become tweens and teens. And obviously the issue of nudes you just mentioned doesn't come up in this card game because it's really day 6 to 10. But I'm already working on a second game, so I can disclose that. It's early days, but now that I've covered 6 to 10, I would love to cover 10 and above. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but it's in the works.
Yeah.
And obviously it's going to be more complex and more nuanced because things become, less, more complex as they grow up. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all about that. I think you've done an amazing job. I'm in awe of you. But how can parents or anyone listening get a copy of your game or follow you online?
So my Instagram handle is Team Together Online, and my website is teamtogetheronline in one word.com, and you can buy the game on the website.
And the game's name, I said it at the start, but just for anyone listening, the game's name is All the Likes.
All the likes, yes, because the kids want all the likes, right? Online. All the likes, and maybe we should have discussed that before we started the interview. But I'm sure you'll agree to this. I think I could give a discount to your listeners if you want to include this on the episode's note.
Yeah, I'll definitely put it in the notes.
Yeah. So with the code Kristi with a K, like you.
Yes.
Kristi 20. Like you know, Kristi 20.
Kristi 20.
And that's to get 20% off.
Thank you
for the next 2 months after the release of the podcast.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know you were going to do that, but I really appreciate that. And
I meant to tell you and I completely forgot.
That's okay. That's a nice surprise. So I will put that in the show notes, and I highly recommend. I'm going to get a copy as soon as I get off this recording, and as soon as this is released, you're listening to it today. So as soon as you get off this podcast, go and get a copy of the cards. If you've got a young, even if you've got a little kid, get a copy so that you're ready to have these conversations, and it's aimed at 6 to 10. And as you can hear from what Sandrine has said, she's very passionate about online safety for your young people as much as I am. And I think that this is an amazing opportunity. This card game is an amazing opportunity for you to have really good quality conversations, open and honest conversations around online safety, which will lead to even better conversations as they get older. So thank you, Sandrine.
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, I've got one last question before we finish. But all of my podcast interviews, I ask my guest so one of the things that happened when I was writing my book, Operation Kid Safe, I used to think if parents knew what I knew, they would do things differently, right? So what is one thing that you wish parents knew that would make them do things differently, or maybe, help them in their parenting?
In relation to online safety in general?
Yeah. I threw this on you, sorry.
I think I could go 2 different ways to answer your question. I could go either go through some of the statistics that we mentioned, or how, on the one hand, how things can change dramatically overnight if somebody manages to contact your child, and therefore you need to talk and have the chat, etc. But I think at the end of the day, what I wish parents knew, but it's a bit presumptuous because I'm sure they know, that I think children are willing to listen, and I think that it's difficult, and at the same time it's easier than we think. Like I wish they knew that through playing and being positive, we can accomplish so much more than we think we can in terms of helping protect the kids. So what I hope is that the game is going to show them that actually the problem is not simple. The problem is not going to go away.
Yes.
But the way to fix it might not be as difficult and complex as we think, or as they think, or as
as it's made out to be.
as in male art, to be exactly.
I 100% agree, because really at the end of the day, there's only a few things you need to do to keep your kids safe online. It's just sold to us like it's a bigger deal than it is, because the issue is complex, but the actual solution is quite simple. And
that's right.
Yeah. And it all starts with having conversations and being present and knowing what's going on with your kids online and having that two-way communication. So I agree with you. I really do agree with you on that. Well, thank you so much, Sandrine. And I really appreciate the discount to any of my listeners. And I really hope people will jump on and grab a copy of the game, and I will be, once I get my copy, I will share it online as well, so you'll see that. But yeah, make sure you go over and follow Sandrine and Team Together Online on social media and have a look at the game online. Thank you so much.
Thanks again for having me. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you for listening to this podcast episode. Education empowers children and empowers parents, and education prevents abuse. That is why I'm here, and that is why you are here. So thank you. If you want any further information or support, follow me on social media, either under Kristi McVie or Cape AU social media accounts. I'll put the links in the show notes. You can also purchase a signed copy of my book, Operation Kids Safe, via the website at www.cape-au.com. Also on my website is a free ebook titled 10 Tips to Keep Your Kids Safe from Abuse, and self-paced courses for parents to help you in your journey of child abuse prevention. Don't forget to join our free Facebook group called Operation Kids Safe Parenting Group. Please see the show notes for any extra information, links and help should you be looking for extra support. Thank you once again for giving a shit about preventing child sexual abuse. See you next time.